Alright guys, just a quick little video for you here. Somebody asked about the foot pedal on my press, so I'll just do a quick video and show you what all I did. Before I get into that though, real fast, you'll notice if you watch any of my videos, this is a new filter. I had a white one on there up until yesterday. So what happened is I was working with the press, you know, as usual, about last week. I started hearing some new vibration. You know, when you work with machinery or tools, you get used to them, and then something changes, you know, you got to pay attention to it. So I heard some kind of vibration right around the filter in here, and I was kind of like tapping on it, you know, like what's going on here, but I didn't see anything, nothing was leaking. It's like, whatever, so I just kept working. Well, on Friday, towards the end of the day, I was working on our Viking fist axe here. You can see that. And the filter just blew off. It just snapped off and fell on the floor, spraying fluid everywhere. Got that turned off. Come to find out, the piece that the filter actually screws onto, there's a pipe that kind of sticks down about an inch. The filter screws onto that. That had cracked and it snapped off. So when I heard that vibration start, that's when the crack happened. But it was still holding the filter up tight enough that nothing was leaking, nothing you could see. And then it snapped off and totally failed. So anyway, got that fixed, got the tank topped off, and needed a little more oil in there anyway. I mean, it was fine, but probably lost a couple gallons. So got that all fixed. So that's, yeah, when you when you hear something different, it's a good idea to pay attention to it, I guess. So the foot pedal on this is kind of just, well, how can I say this? I didn't engineer this or use measurements or anything like that. I literally just kind of figured out where I wanted stuff to be, and when it comes to the lengths and the angles and everything like that, I just figured it out on the spot and measured it as I went. So I actually started it out with this like 3 or 4 inches longer than it needed to be, and then just kind of trimmed it down little by little until I figured out where I needed everything to be at. But I started with, you know, first of all, these mounts. This is I think 3/4 inside dimension square tubing, and I started just putting this one on first, and then you know, I had this one. I didn't have this welded till towards the end because you have to be able to get this stuff apart to kind of figure out where it's all got to go. This is 3/8 rod, piece of 3/8 by 3 inch plate. These are not drilled in the end because that way the rod is captive, so you don't have to do anything with that. You just put it in there and put the last one on and weld it, and it's captive in there, so pretty simple that way. Pretty early on in the build, I did weld this plate to the rod here, since that doesn't matter where that's at until you fasten this piece to the rod. So that's one of the last things you do. This is 5/8 square stock, 3/8 hole drilled in it, 1/4 inch hole drilled here, just a slot I cut with my cutoff wheel. This is a 1/4 inch rivet or pin, and it's tack welded onto the end here so it stays in there. This is also 3/8 rod, and oh, there's all my oil soaked shavings that I got to clean up, because that's about the last thing you want in a blacksmith shop. So anyway, I heated this up with the torch and just smashed it on the press and flattened that out nice. Did that at both ends. Runs up here. This is also 5/8 square stock, another slot cut here, plenty of clearance as you can see, 1/4 inch pin, and then a 3/8 hole here, because that's what this is. This comes off, so you just slide that on there. And then I have a 1/4 inch 20 bolt right here, and it's threaded into this 5/8 square stock with a nut, so that it's once you get it where you want it, you tighten it down, stays. So the most challenging part of that, I think, of building the foot pedal setup was the correlation between the range of motion on the valve handle to what your pedal does down here. So obviously this is going to hit the plate here and bottom out on both sides, and that's fine as long as you've completed the range of motion up at the top here. So that's what I had to figure out. So some of the things that's going to affect that is the height of your mount here. If that's too short, you're not going to have that range of motion. So that I actually got that on the first try, I guess. So that was nice. I don't know how tall these are. They're about inch. I think they're 1.25 inches tall. So, you know, I had that on here, and then I had this assembled, but I didn't. And then I, you know, wanted to figure out what this angle needed to be, and basically I ended up with this foot pedal being horizontal in neutral, you know, in the center, which is kind of where you want it. And then I just kind of put it together, and wherever this handle's at in neutral, then everything's in neutral. That's where you tack that down, so that's you know, connected. And then of course you also have to make sure that, I had to make sure that this, you know, I could only move this deal so close, and the closer the better, because that makes your foot pedal movement smaller. Like if I pulled this all the way out here, that would mean the foot pedal would have to move way more to achieve the same result. So getting this as close in as possible was important, but I could only go so far because it hits this plate here. So all of that I had to figure out, and I just kind of did it as I put it together. So that's all I can tell you on that. The one thing I didn't figure out as I was putting it together was this heel contact point and the toe contact point on the pedal. And I just had a flat pedal initially. Problem with that is that you have to have your foot pretty much straight on to operate it, which, you know, you don't. You stand kind of at an angle because you got to see what you're doing. And so I put this on here so I can use my foot at an angle and, you know, work it with my heel. Works really good. This also is a piece of angle iron, really helped. I think it's a 1.25 inch, 1.5 inch angle iron. That really helped because if you when I didn't have this on here, I had to really point my toe to get this pedal all the way down, which is kind of not very ergonomic and sort of tricky, you know, when you're sort of balancing all your weight on one foot. So that really helped. Those two things really helped. And yeah, that's really it. That's just kind of how I did it. Pretty basic, like I say. I don't know how other presses are built. I've never really seen one. I haven't seen one in person. I haven't looked at them close enough to know if they're similar or if there's a way better way to do it, or if this is, I have no idea. So that's just how I did it. Seems to work great. There was a little bit of a learning curve for me because I've never, prior to this, I've always used just this one, the lever by hand, but it's I'm getting used to it. So it's obviously necessary for a lot of different projects where you need two hands free. So that's it. There it is, guys. As always, appreciate you watching. We will see you on the next video.